After breaking out, I was pursued by the top-notch saints. Introduction. Xia Feng traveled to the Tianyuan continent and became a waste with low talent. Fortunately, he had a dream pearl and unintentionally dragged the top-notch saint of the Great Xia Empire into his dream. We fell in love for 1,000 years in the dream and became gods through his help. The next day, after the fiancé publicly withdrew from the engagement banquet, the top-notch saint came from afar, causing shock throughout the continent. Husband, this is a qualification pill that can enhance qualifications. The ultimate saint transformed into a licking dog, an endless collection of good things that seemed to be delivered to Xia Feng without any money. The fiancé was confused, and everyone was foolish. It wasn't until Xia Feng's cultivation gradually improved that he realized that the function of dream beads was far more than that. Low talent, slow cultivation speed. Dream beads can last for thousands of years, and practicing in them can also manifest in reality. Take a nap, and your cultivation will reach its ultimate level. If you don't get enough sleep, then take 2 or 10 sleeps. Whether you are a peerless pride or the son of the great emperor, you are my younger brother in front of me. About boundary division. You are listening at novel full.audio. Wuzhe, Wusher, Wuwang, Wuzong, Wuzuan, Wuhuang, Wusheng, Wudi, Wushan. Each realm is divided into 9 levels. The yellow level, the Xian level, the earth level, and the heaven level. Division of power levels. From low to high, it is divided into sects, dynasties, holy sites, empires, and divine domains. Each level is further divided into 4 levels. Inferior, intermediate, superior, and premium. Chapter 1. Dream Beads, 1 Dream for 0 Years. You are listening at novel full.audio. Xia Empire, Star Language City Xia Family. Xia Feng lay in bed, staring at the roof in a daze. It failed again. He let out a slight sigh, his tone full of helplessness. It has been 16 years since I entered this world where martial arts are prevalent and power is abundant. At the age of 6, I began to polish my body, but to this day, I have not yet developed my inner strength and become a true warrior. Countless attempts, countless failures, and qualifications can be said to be extremely poor. This world is called Tianyuan continent, divided into 10 major divine domains, and the Great Xia Empire is located within the infinite divine domain. Star Language City is considered a medium-sized city in the Xia Empire, and the head of the Xia family is the Star Language City Lord. As the only son of the head of the Xia family and the young lord of the Star Language City, Xia Feng has a noble status and no one dares to mock him in person, but secretly he will definitely be used as a topic of conversation after dinner. The world is so big, I don't believe there's no way to improve my qualifications. Xia Feng's eyes flickered with determination. As a traveler, how could he be defeated by difficulties? Not appearing before doesn't mean there isn't, there will definitely be a way. Buzz. At this moment, a faint white light seeped out from his chest. Xia Feng was stunned for a moment, quickly got up, and took out the red rope from his neck. At the other end of the red rope was a thumb-sized iron cage, inside which was a pearl-emitting white light. What is the situation? Xia Feng's face showed a hint of astonishment. This bead was obtained unintentionally in a past life and traveled with him. According to his parents in this lifetime, he was born holding this bead. He thought this was some kind of treasure, studied it for over a decade, and even learned how to identify the protagonist in novels without discovering any abnormalities. Unexpectedly, there was a reaction today. The white light grew stronger and stronger, and Xia Feng's hands trembled slightly, hesitating whether to throw it away. If it explodes, I don't know if my martial arts level physique can handle it. At this moment, Zhuzi suddenly broke free from the iron cage and thrust into his forehead, causing Xia Feng to scream in shock. Xia Feng, are you okay? The sound of parents carrying outside the bedroom. Dad, Mom, I'm fine, I just had a nightmare. Xia Feng regained his senses and quickly said. Take a good rest and don't think too much. After your engagement banquet with Xiaoyu tomorrow, I will personally go out to search for herbs to enhance your qualifications. Father's voice rang out again. Got it, Dad. Xia Feng responded with a warm heart. Although he is a waste, his parents still treat him extremely well. However, upon hearing the 3 words, engagement banquet, a bitter smile appeared at the corner of his mouth. The young lady of the Liu family is now avoiding him. Even if a wedding banquet is held, she may not marry her in the end. What puzzled him was that a few days ago, he and his father went to the Liu family and asked them to voluntarily withdraw their marriage, but the Liu family actually refused. It is said that Xia Fu was Liu Fu's life-saving benefactor, and the Liu family will still recognize Xia Feng as their son.In.Law. Xia's father was deeply moved, but Xia Feng was not very excited. When I think about the attitude of Miss Liu towards me, even if we reluctantly get together, how can we be happy in the future? Moreover, Miss Liu from the Liu family has a great talent. She is 1 year younger than herself and is now a 9th-level martial artist in the Xuanjia class. They are not people from the same world at all. Martial artists are divided into 4 levels. The heavenly and the yellow, with the highest level being the heavenly and the lowest level being the yellow. Each level is further divided into 9 levels. Heavenly and heavenly. Above the heavenly martial arts, there are also martial masters, martial kings, martial ancestors, martial sovereigns, martial emperors, martial saints, martial emperors, and martial gods. Each realm has 4 levels of heaven, earth, and dark yellow. Xia Feng shook his head, closed his eyes, and carefully sensed the beads inside his body. Just then, a wave of information flooded into his mind. Dream beads. Can they assist with dreaming? Just 8 words left him with a bewildered expression. What is it? So dazzling light, you thought it was such an amazing treasure, but this is the result. What does assisted dreaming mean? I have a dream and I need your broken bead to assist me. If you are really so amazing, you have the ability to bring the top 10 top-notch saints of the Xia Empire into my dreams, so that I can enjoy the peak of life in my dreams. Xia Feng muttered to himself, then lay down again and quickly fell into a deep sleep. I didn't pay too much attention to those dream beads. At this moment, the dream bead located in his mind once again emitted a faint white light, weaving a dream for him. In his dreams, he has the same starting point as reality, but he encounters countless adventures. In reality, 1 night has passed, and in dreams, 1,000 years have passed. In his dream, Xia Feng not only became the only supreme deity in the Tianyuan continent, but also met and fell in love with the top 10 top-notch saints of the Great Xia Empire. Finally, he entered the wedding banquet hall, loving and happy. And with his help, the top 10 top-notch saints also quickly grew into the top 10 female martial gods. The next morning, the white light emitted by the dream pearl dissipated. Xia Feng slowly opened his eyes and sat up from the bed, feeling comfortable and refreshed all over. Last night, it seemed like I had a dream. Xia Feng frowned, feeling that he had had a very long dream, which seemed to be quite complex. No matter how hard he tried to recall, he couldn't remember any content related to the dream. Forget it, it's just a dream. He didn't pay too much attention, it's normal for him not to remember his dreams. After getting up to wash up, he left the bedroom. At the same time, in the Holy Maiden Hall of the top 10 holy sites of the Great Xia Empire, the top 10 saints woke up from their sleep and stared at the Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com, their faces full of disbelief. I actually fell asleep and dreamed. But why is it so real? The top 10 top-notch saints recalled everything they had experienced in their dreams, their exquisite and beautiful faces gradually turning crimson. Dreaming for 1,000 years, they and their husband have gone through numerous hardships and come together. And their husband became the only supreme figure in the Tianyuan continent, helping them become martial god-level powerhouses. All of this is incredibly real, so real that they can't forget it even after waking up from their dreams. Even now, they can vividly recall the feeling of being favored by their husband on the last night in their dreams. At the thought of this, their faces became even more rosy. Buzz. Suddenly, a powerful aura emanated from them. In the dream, they are female martial gods with a natural and incomparable aura. After waking up from the dream, there was no change in strength, but this momentum gradually approached the martial god in the dream. The 10 saints were stunned at the same time. How could a dream have such a big impact? No. This may not be a dream. Moreover, in their realm, it is unlikely that they will dream. Young Lord of Star Language City, Xia Feng. The top 10 top-notch saints murmured information about their husbands in their dreams, with the lowest talent. They were publicly withdrawn by their fiancé AE, who had just joined the mid-level sect, at the engagement banquet. And today is their engagement banquet. If the husband in the dream really exists in reality and the information is exactly the same as in the dream, then it means that this is not a dream. With this in mind, the top 10 top-notch saints almost simultaneously rolled up from their respective beds, searched for the location of the Star Language City, and broke through the air. Chapter 2. Public Withdrawal at the Engagement Banquet. You are listening at novel full.audio. At this point, Xia Feng and his family have arrived at Xinyu restaurant. Today is the engagement banquet between Xia Feng and Miss Liu from the Liu family. Their relatives and friends, as well as the aristocratic powerhouses of the entire Star Language City, have all come. However, the atmosphere seemed a bit strange. Xia Feng is the young lord of Star Language City, with a noble status. Miss Liu from the Liu family is the heavenly beauty of Star Language City, and the two should have been a perfect match. However, Xia Feng, who is now 16 years old, still has not been able to generate internal power and remains in the realm of martial arts. The Miss Liu of the Liu family, who is only 15 years old now, is already a 9th-level martial artist in the Xuanjie class and the first emperor of the Star Language City. The gap between the two sides is getting wider and wider. This marriage is destined to not receive everyone's blessings. However, Xia Feng is still the young city lord, and everyone dare not say anything sarcastic in person. Shortly after Xia Feng and his companions arrived, the Liu family also arrived at the restaurant, including a proud stranger. Xia's father warmly welcomed him, while Liu's father and Xia's father chatted enthusiastically, showing no abnormalities. Miss Liu from the Liu family has a good appearance, but her face is a bit cold. She glanced at Xia Feng and walked alone onto the stage that was originally used to cheer, saying calmly, "Dear friends and family, I'm sorry to inform you that today's engagement banquet has been cancelled. Xia Feng and I have different personalities, and I believe he will find a better girl than me in the future." The scene suddenly fell silent. Is this a divorce? Xia Feng's face darkened as he had anticipated his divorce. But he never expected that the other party would be so heartless and publicly withdraw from the engagement banquet, which made the Xia family face where to look. Xia's father's face also changed suddenly, and he looked at Lu's father and said, "Lu Tianxiang, is this what you mean?" Lu Tianxiang smiled and said, "Brother Xia, this is what Xiaoyu means, but I respect her choice." Xia's father angrily said, "Lu Tianxiang, when I was trying to save you, my dantian was damaged and my strength stopped advancing. Is that how you repay me?" Breaking out is understandable, as he is actually prepared in this regard. But if we don't withdraw for such a long time, it's clear that we are intentionally humiliating Xia Feng and the Xia family by withdrawing on the day of the wedding banquet. Lu Tianxiang still smiled and said, "Brother Xia, I won't forget your life-saving kindness in my life." But as you know, Xia Feng's qualifications are still in the martial arts stage at the age of 16. And Xiaoyu's future is not something that this Star Language City can accommodate. I can't bury Xiaoyu's life just to repay your life-saving kindness. Brother Xia is also a father, so he should understand my feelings. So, why did you refuse when we went to the Liu family and asked you to voluntarily divorce us? Xia's father was furious. Lu Tianxiang sighed and said, back then, I was also holding a glimmer of luck. Maybe Xia Feng could have a chance encounter and eventually become a warrior. As long as he could become a warrior, and with his identity as the young lord of Xinyu City, he could barely accept it. Unfortunately, Xia Feng was too disappointing. You. Father Xia clenched his fist and was furious. To put it nicely, it is clear that he deliberately stayed until today to withdraw, to humiliate Xia Feng and the Xia family. Xia Feng stared at the Miss Liu on stage, with a calm face and clenched his fist. Xia's mother came to him and comforted him, Xia Feng, are you okay? She was worried that her son would not be able to bear the blow, and even though she was angry in her heart, she came to comfort her son as soon as possible. Xia Feng shook his head and said, Mom, I'm fine. I just let you and Dad suffer together. I'm sorry. Xia's mother smiled and said, I haven't seen any scenes with your father before. If we get married and leave, let's leave. With my Xia Feng's appearance, we don't have to worry about not finding a wife. What's the use of being handsome? After coming off the stage and passing by, Liu Shiyu said a faint sentence and then walked away without stopping. Summer's mother's face darkened. Liu Shiyu. Xia Feng shouted in a deep voice. Liu Shiyu turned around and smiled, you wouldn't really think that being handsome means having a girl is better, would you? This is a world that values strength. Is that right? Xia Feng remained calm, then smiled slightly and said, 2 or 3 years ago, you were always following behind my butt. When Brother Feng was long and Brother Feng was short, that's not what you said. You said I was the wind, you were the rain, and the wind and rain were in the same boat. It was made in heaven and earth. You even said you were willing to be my little maid and serve me for the rest of your life. Didn't that be when you were interested in my appearance? The thought of how the heavenly beauty of Star Language City once licked her dog in front of me made me feel inexplicably happy. You shut up for me. Liu Shiyu let out a furious shout, his face gloomy. Liu's father and mother also had an unpleasant expression. These words were spoken in front of so many people, intentionally making the Liu family feel embarrassed. Liu Shiyu said coldly, Xia Feng, I have already broken through. I am now a first-level martial artist on the earth level and have been taken as a disciple by the elder of Yunshan Sect. The gap between you and me has completely widened. Hush. Yunshan Sect. That's a mid-level sect. The sect leader is a martial arts master, and the elder is also a 9th-level martial arts sect in the heavenly rank. Unexpectedly, Liu Shiyu joined Yunshan's sect and was even taken as a disciple by the elder. This Liu family will become the first family in the Star Language City in the future. If there is assistance from the Yunshan sect, it is not just the first family in the Star Language City. Even in dozens of nearby cities, there is no family that can compare to it. Liu Shiyu joined the Yunshan sect and found that Zhaozuiyuan.com and Xia Feng are indeed people from 2 different worlds. The guests were discussing and shocked, with envy towards the Liu family in their words. Xia Feng suddenly realized and his face darkened. The other party intentionally withdrew from today's engagement banquet in order to showcase Liu Shiyu's achievements in front of all the aristocratic powerhouses in Star Language City. At the same time, it is also to inform the people of Xinyu City that the Liu family is about to rise strongly. After today, the Lord's mansion may be isolated. What a Liu Shiyu, what a Liu family. Xiaoyu, just leave after you finish speaking. What are you talking to a useless person about so much? The unfamiliar man who had been standing in the Liu family camp and had not spoken, said coldly. Yes, master. Liu Shiyu said respectfully. Master. He is the elder of Yunshan sect, the 9th-level martial arts sect of the heavenly rank. Everyone turned their heads together to look at the stranger, their eyes filled with awe. Some lower-level sects do not have the Tianjie Zhichong Wuzong powerhouses, while the strongest ones in Xinyu City are only the city lord and the 3 major masters, and only the Tianjie Wuwang. The difference is too big. Waste, be your young lord of Star Language City, don't worry about Xiaoyu anymore, said the elder of Yunshan sect calmly after looking at Xia Feng. Waste. Xia Feng suddenly clenched his fist and a surge of anger surged in his heart, but he still managed to hold it back. The other party is a heavenly rank 9-fold martial arts sect. If you provoke the other party, it's not a big deal if you die, and it will also involve the entire Xia family being destroyed. He is not a child, he has the soul of an adult living in his body, and he can tolerate this anger. Who is so bold and dares to humiliate my husband like this? Just then, an angry voice rang out in the restaurant. Chapter 3. Kneel down and apologize to my husband. You are listening at novel full.audio. Everyone followed the sound and saw a woman with a proud bust, slender waist, tall figure, and unparalleled appearance. She was wearing tight leather clothes and pants, walking with high heels, twisting her cat steps, and slowly walking. She has a straight nose, rosy lips, fair skin, and a standard melon seed face. Plus those beautiful eyes that seem to always have a seductive effect, it's like a seductive fox spirit. However, at this moment, the pretty face of the fox spirit was as cold as ice, with endless anger in its seductive eyes. As she walked slowly, a powerful aura rippled out, oppressing those around her and making them feel a bit difficult to breathe. Xianggong. Who is her husband? Shame. Perhaps as everyone recalled the woman's words, their gaze instantly fell on Xia Feng. Before the woman appeared, only the elder of Yunshan sect was humiliating Xia Feng. Xia's mother whispered, Xia Feng, when did you have such a beautiful wife? I, as a mother, don't even know. Mom, I don't know either. Xia Feng is also a bit confused. It would be great to have such a beautiful woman as his wife, but the problem is that he doesn't even know each other. Who are you and what school did you learn from? The elder of Yunshan sect slowly took a step forward and blocked the pressure on the Liu family. He looked at the woman and asked in a low voice. Are you humiliating my husband? The woman stood in front of the elder of Yunshan sect and said coldly. At this moment, Liu Shiyu stood out from behind the elder of Yunshan sect and said, Senior, I wonder who your Xianggong is. The woman turned her head to look at Xia Feng, her cold and pretty face suddenly showing a gentle and sweet smile, and the tenderness in her eyes seemed to melt everything. Xianggong, I'm late. After I help you vent your anger, you can punish me whatever you want. The coquettish voice was almost enough to make a person's bones crumble. Lying trough. Her husband is actually Xia Feng. Moreover, how does the tone and demeanor of her speech feel so similar, like licking a dog? Everyone was stunned. My father and mother were also amazed. When will my son have a wife? Why don't we know at all? Xia Feng also asked with a bewildered expression, this girl. Call me Madam. The woman stomped her feet and said coquettishly. Ah. Xia Feng was speechless, opened his mouth, hesitated for a moment before continuing, so, did you recognize the wrong person? My husband, how could I admit my mistake? The woman gave him a white glance, and the temptation emanating from her body made Xia Feng's heart itch. But the problem is, he really doesn't know this woman. Xianggong, was it this old man who humiliated you just now? The woman pointed to the elder of Yunshan sect and asked. The elder of Yunshan sect furrowed his brows slightly, and a hint of anger appeared between his eyebrows. But it didn't happen. The woman's breath was not weak, and she was so young that she couldn't move without understanding her background. Liu Shiyu smiled and said, Senior, I'm afraid you have really mistaken someone. He is Xia Feng, the young lord of Xinyu City. He is 16 years old and has not yet given birth to his inner strength, becoming a true martial artist. He is a useless person who has just been divorced by me. How could he be your husband? Senior. The woman looked at Liu Shiyu and said coldly, "Are you Liu Shiyu? You are indeed blind. I am about the same age as you, not a senior. Besides, how dare you call my husband useless? Is it appropriate to propose a divorce? Let my husband take a leave, and you are still pretty good." You. Liu Shiyu is also the heavenly beauty of Star Language City. When someone has been so scolded, she suddenly feels a bit angry. The woman said coldly, "Kneel down and apologize to my husband. If you can ask my husband for forgiveness, that's all. If he doesn't forgive me, then kneel down and die for me." Do you want me to kneel down and apologize to that useless person? Liu Shiyu had an incredulous expression on her face. She was the disciple of the elder of Yunshan sect, and her status was so precious. Can she be compared to a small Star Language City lord or a useless city lord? Pop. A crisp sound rang out in the restaurant, and Liu Shiyu stumbled and fell to the ground, with a red handprint on his face and a hint of blood oozing from the corner of his mouth. "If I make you kneel, then kneel and dare to talk back," the woman said coldly, her tone incredibly domineering. Hush. This woman really doesn't give the elder of Yunshan sect any face, she even slapped his disciple in front of him. Even Xia Feng was startled, but looking at Liu Shiyu's disheveled appearance, he felt quite pleased. Light rain. Liu Tianxiang and his wife quickly ran over to help Liu Shiyu, looking worried and saying, "Xiaoyu, are you okay?" Liu Shiyu covered her face and stared at the woman, but didn't dare to say much. Instead, she turned her head to look at the elder of the Yunshan sect and cried, saying, "Master, this person doesn't regard me as the Yunshan sect at all. Please make decisions for me, master." She knew that the woman's strength was much higher than her own, and she didn't even see how the other party acted. Even though she was extremely angry in her heart, she dared not face the woman directly. "Don't worry, no one dares to bully my Yunshan sect disciples at will yet." The elder of Yunshan sect's face was also extremely gloomy. He turned his head to look at the woman and said in a deep voice, "Your Excellency, this is too much. She is a disciple of our Yunshan sect. Although our Yunshan sect is only a small medium-sized sect, we will not allow anyone to bully our Yunshan sect disciples. Go to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com." He deliberately emphasized his tone on the 4 words, Zhongpin Zongmen, hoping to make the woman understand the difficulties and retreat. Being so young, having such strength is definitely not something that small forces can cultivate. If it's not necessary, he doesn't want to provoke a strong enemy for the sect without reason. Yunshan sect. It's just a mid-level sect, dare you be so arrogant? The woman looked disdainful, and if it hadn't appeared in that real dream, she really wouldn't have known such a small sect. Bold. The elder of Yunshan sect finally couldn't help but shout out, his terrifying aura rippling, causing the guests around to breathe a sigh. It seemed like a huge rock was pressing down, and everyone took several steps back before feeling better. It's so terrifying. I can't bear it just because of my aura. It's truly the 9th level martial arts sect of the heavenly rank. Yeah, at least I'm also a heavenly level 9 level martial arts master, but I feel like I can't hold up a single move in front of him. The elder of Yunshan sect is angry, and now that woman is going to have bad luck. Sigh. This woman is as beautiful as a flower. How could she feel like she doesn't have much brain? She offended the Yunshan sect for the sake of being a waste, and I don't even know how to die. The guests around were discussing, shocked, and sighing incessantly. Xia Feng frowned. The woman vented her anger on him, but he couldn't let her be implicated. He spoke up and said, "Miss, this matter has nothing to do with you. There's no need to do this. You go." The woman looked back and smiled, leaving everyone stunned. "It's really beautiful. You are my husband, no one can humiliate you. Speak the most domineering words in the gentlest tone. Xia Feng opened his mouth and didn't know what to say. It's nice to have such a domineering wife who protects her husband, but he really doesn't know this woman. Chapter 4. My name is Yuxia, from the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. You are listening at novel full.audio. This girl is really nice. If only she were our daughter.In.Law. Summer's mother's face was full of smiles, and her gaze towards the woman also revealed a lot of liking. Don't talk nonsense. Xia's father glared at her and then looked at the woman, saying, Miss, you better leave here and not lose your life for us. Persuading the woman to leave, besides not wanting to see her die at such a young age in the hands of the elder of Yunshan sect, I am also afraid that due to the woman's recklessness, it will cause trouble for the elder of Yunshan sect to anger the Xia family. Uncle Xia, it's okay, don't worry, he can't even hurt me. The woman looked at Xia Fu with a faint smile on her face. Miss, he is the elder of Yunshan sect and the 9th level martial arts sect of the heavenly rank. Xia Feng kindly reminded. It's okay, it's just the 9 heavenly martial arts sect. Don't worry, my lord. I'm very powerful, the woman waved her small fist and said with a clever smile. What a big breath, the elder of Yunshan sect smiled angrily and said in a cold voice, I want to see what skills you have. How dare you not treat me like this and treat me as Yunshan sect. As soon as the words fell, his aura suddenly rose again. The crowd around retreated again, afraid to get too close. The aura of Tianjie Zhichong Wuzong is really terrifying. The woman took a step and appeared in front of the Xia Feng family, blocking their strong pressure. Then she looked up at the elder of Yunshan sect and said coldly, I almost forgot. You also humiliated my father.In.Law. You also knelt down and apologized to my father.In.Law, begging for his forgiveness. Otherwise, I will cut off your tongue and you will never be able to speak. Ha ha ha. The elder of Yunshan sect burst into laughter, filled with anger. It's been a long time since anyone dared to speak to me like this. Little girl, you have successfully angered me. No matter which faction you come from, today I will teach you well for your elders on how to talk to them. Yunshan Master. As soon as he finished speaking, he patted it out of the air, and a giant hand measuring 1 foot emerged from the air, patting the woman. Yunshanshu, one of the unique skills of Yunshan sect, is a top-notch mid-level martial arts skill with unparalleled power. I heard that Yunshan's hand is very successful, but it can gather 10 zhang of huge hands. It should not be easy to use in this restaurant, so I left my hand behind. Nevertheless, this blow is enough to shatter a small mountain. The guests around were discussing and shocked. Martial arts and techniques are divided into low, medium, high, top, peerless, imperial, holy, imperial, and divine levels. Each level is further divided into 4 levels. Bottom, middle, and top-notch. The top-level martial arts and techniques correspond to the level of the martial arts sect. There is not a single top-level martial arts book or skill in the entire Star Language City. If you dare to hit me, you will pay the price. Liu Shiyu's eyes flickered with excitement. Miss, you. As Xia Feng spoke, he saw an energy shield surging out of the woman's body, protecting her and the Xia family. Xianggong, don't worry, I will protect you. The woman turned around and said softly. Looking at the stunning face within reach and smelling the faint fragrance, Xia Feng couldn't help but swallow his saliva, almost feeling lost in love. Dog men and women, I see how long you can be arrogant. Liu Shiyu's eyes were cold and his anger surged. Just as she was divorced, she flirted with another woman who was even more beautiful and powerful than herself, and she couldn't accept it. That useless person should be despised and humiliated by everyone, only in this way can she prove that her decision to withdraw from marriage is correct. Boom! Yunshan's hand landed on the shield, making a loud noise, and the rippling aftershocks shattered all the nearby tables and chairs. The entire restaurant was shaking violently, as if it was about to collapse at any moment. Hiss! What a terrifying power! How could such a strong Yunshan hand not break through the woman's shield? This woman seems even stronger than we imagined. The guests around were shocked. How could this be possible? The elder of Yunshan's sect was full of fear on his face. Apart from the sect leader who had stepped into the realm of martial arts, no one had ever taken over his Yunshan hand so easily. Has this woman already reached the realm of Wuzuan? No, it's impossible. She is about the same age as Xiaoyu, how could she possibly reach the realm of Wuzuan? It must be a matter of this martial arts skill. Is it a peerless, even imperial-level martial arts skill? Thinking of this, there was a hint of greed in the eyes of the elder of Yunshan's sect. If he can learn this set of martial arts skills, his strength will definitely be greatly enhanced. Is it my turn now? The woman's eyes flickered with a red light and said lightly, I'll make you kneel down. Charming martial arts skills. Not good. As soon as the elder of Yunshan's sect touched the woman's eyes, he secretly exclaimed that it was not good, but it was ultimately too late. His eyes instantly became blurred, and then he plopped down to the ground. This. The guests around were all stunned. The Liu family and the Xia family all opened their mouths and looked incredulous. Tang Tang Tian Jie Jiu Chong Wuzong knelt down just because of that woman's words. Did you launch a strong attack one moment ago, but kneel down the next moment? Master. Liu Shiyu was also stunned and wanted to pull up the elder of Yunshan's sect, but no matter how hard she tried, she couldn't pull a single penny. He doesn't understand what's wrong with Master. Xia Feng exclaimed in surprise, follow the way you speak. Is this woman so powerful? Except for the elder of Yunshan's sect, no one saw the woman's eyes and had no idea what she had done. The woman turned her head and a sweet and charming smile appeared on her stunning face again. Xianggong, I'm not just following the rules. I haven't reached that level yet. Find zhaozhuyuan.com. What kind of martial arts skills are you? Xia Feng asked curiously. The rest of the crowd also perked up their ears, curious. Charm. Do you want to give it a try, my lord? The woman smiled and said. Charm. Xia Feng looked at the elder of Yunshan's sect who was kneeling on the ground with his eyes blurred. He couldn't help but shiver and shook his head repeatedly, then said with a dry smile, I still don't need it. Don't worry, my martial arts skills will never be used by my husband. Of course, if he has a special hobby, I can also satisfy him. The woman's words were full of teasing. Special, fetish. Xia Feng was stunned and couldn't help but think awkwardly. He gave a dry laugh and didn't know what to say. This woman speaks too boldly, he can't resist a bit. Charm. At this moment, the elder of Yunshan's sect regained consciousness and stood up with the help of Liu Shiyu, his face filled with anger and fear. Who the hell are you? It is impossible for ordinary charm to make oneself fall into the trap. Unless how could people from that place come to a small place like Xinyu City? Who made you get up, kneel down? In the woman's eyes, a red light reappeared. Even though the elder of Yunshan's sect was already on guard, he was still hit. With a thud, he knelt down again. The guests around, including the Liu family, looked at the woman with even more fear in their eyes. They have no idea how the woman launched the attack. The woman turned her head again and looked at Xia Feng with a smile, saying, It's all because that stinky old man bullied my husband. I was so angry that I forgot to introduce myself. My husband, let's get to know each other officially. My name is Yuxia and I come from the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. Chapter 5. She surprisingly was the Heavenly Fox Saint. You are listening at Novel Full.audio. From the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. Is this woman actually a disciple of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land? No wonder they are not afraid of the Yunshan sect. Is it worth mentioning a mid-level sect gate in Yunshan district as a holy land? How could disciples of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land come to such a remote place as our star language city? And how could Xia Feng know disciples of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land? I heard that the disciples of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land are all people with the bloodline of the ancient mythical beast nine-tailed Heavenly Fox. I wonder if this woman is a disciple of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. Wait, my mind is a bit confused. Before, this woman kept talking about her husband, and I thought they were very familiar, but according to her tone, it seems like they are also meeting for the first time. What's going on here? Can anyone explain? The guests around were shocked and discussed extensively. The Liu family and their group were even more ashen. If we offend the disciples of the Holy Land, even the Yunshan sect cannot protect them. In this Tianyuan continent, there are also levels of sections. Lower grade, medium grade, top grade, top grade. Above the top-tier sect is the 4th-tier imperial court, and above the top-tier imperial court is the 4th-tier Holy Land. And the Heavenly Fox Holy Land is the ultimate in the Holy Land. A mediocre sect is not even worthy of lifting shoes for the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. Xia's mother was also shocked. This woman, who was calling her son Xianggong one by one, turned out to be a disciple of the Holy Land. In shock, Xia's father couldn't help but frown. A disciple of the Holy Land, who is so young that he can completely suppress the Yunshan sect elder of the Tianjie Zhuchong martial sect, probably has a high status in the Holy Land. Why did she travel thousands of miles to Star Language City and even voluntarily offer to marry her son? This doesn't make sense. Tianhu Holy Land disciple. Xia Feng was also greatly surprised. It was an unreachable place for him. Why did the other party come all the way to help him, such a useless person in the eyes of outsiders? He couldn't figure out what attracted him to the other person on his own. Impossible, he's a useless person. How could he possibly know someone from the Heavenly Fox Holy Land? Liu Shiyu let out a hysterical roar. How could a useless person who had been divorced know someone from the Heavenly Fox Holy Land? How could they know someone from the Heavenly Fox Holy Land? False, it must be false. She was a little emotional and said, "How dare you impersonate a disciple of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land? You're doomed. Fake it." Yuxia smiled and turned to look at Xia Feng, saying with a smile, "Xianggong, your fiancé is not only blind, but also has a bad brain. In the Xia Empire, who dares to impersonate me, Yuxia? Tianhu Saint Yuxia." Just as he woke up, the elder of Yunshan sect heard this name and was so scared that he collapsed on the ground with a pale face. Xingyu City is too remote, I don't know the weight of the name Yuxia. As the elder of Yunshan sect, how could you not know Yuxia? The first saint of this year's Tianhu Holy Land is the most likely candidate to inherit the position of the Holy Lord among the candidates for the Tianhu Holy Land Holy Lord. It is said that this saint possesses the Heavenly Fox charm body, which is a natural holy body. As long as she does not die prematurely, she can easily cultivate to the realm of martial saint. At the age of only 15 now, he is already in the realm of Wuzuan, and can be said to be a truly unparalleled pride. Don't say he's just a senior elder of the Yunshan sect. Even if the leader of the Yunshan sect comes personally, he wouldn't dare to cause trouble. The Heavenly Fox Saint. She is actually the saint of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. Upon hearing the words of the Yunshan sect, a burst of exclamation echoed around, and a look of awe appeared in his eyes. Originally, they guessed that she was the disciple of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land, but to their surprise, she was actually the saint of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land, one of the top 10 top-notch saints in the Xia Empire. How did Xia Feng get to know the Heavenly Fox Saint? The Star Language City and the Heavenly Fox Holy Land are separated by thousands of miles, so it's impossible to hit them with 8 sticks. No, it's impossible. That useless person, how could they possibly know the Heavenly Fox Saint? It must be fake. Liu Shiyu couldn't accept this fact. Pop. As soon as the words fell, a crisp slap sounded. It was not Xia, but the elder of Yunshan's sect who personally fought it. Bastard. The elder of Yunshan's sect is almost infuriated. He just came to take an apprentice and inexplicably provoked the heavenly fox saint. This rebellious disciple is still trying to anger the heavenly fox holy maiden unconsciously. If he dies, he will just let it go, and he will also implicate himself and the entire Yunshan sect. Master, you. Liu Shiyu looked incredulous. Shut up. The elder of Yunshan's sect let out a furious shout and then bowed deeply to Xia, saying, I don't know if it was the heavenly fox holy maiden who was in front of me. I have offended you many times before. Please forgive me, heavenly fox holy maiden. Xia said coldly, did I get you up? Puff. This time, without using her charm, the elder of Yunshan's sect knelt directly on the ground. Xia's cold gaze turned to Liu Shiyu. Without her needing to speak, Elder Yunshan immediately shouted at Liu Shiyu, rebel disciple, why don't you kneel down and apologize to Brother Xia? Brother Xia. A moment ago, he said he was a waste, but now he immediately changed his mind. The change in attitude before and after made the guests on site stunned. Liu Shiyu clenched his fist and his face was extremely ugly. Let her apologize to a useless person who got divorced, naturally unwilling. But even the master dared not offend Xia, so she naturally dared not. Even if unwilling, one can only bow their head. Xia Feng, I'm sorry. After speaking these words, tears of humiliation flowed from her eyes. Xia Feng is a bit speechless. It was you who publicly withdrew from the wedding banquet to humiliate me and the Xia family. Now, apologizing makes me feel like I was bullying you. It seems that my husband is not very satisfied. You can kneel down for me first when you go to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Xia said calmly. Yes, we must kneel until Xia is satisfied. The elder of Yunshan sect nodded repeatedly, without any trace of the demeanor of a strong Tianjie Zhichong Wuzong. In fact, he also felt a great sense of humiliation in his heart, but only in this way can he protect the Yunshan sect when facing the saints of the heavenly fox holy land. In this world where strength is paramount, his dignity is not worth mentioning at all. Lu Tianxiang and his wife stepped forward, but dared not step forward. The words, saint, are too heavy, making it difficult for them to breathe. They can't figure it out, what exactly is that trash that can attract a saint? Xia just turned her head to look at Xia Feng and asked with a sweet smile, Xianggong, I helped you vent your anger. Did I do well? At this moment, she is no longer the proud and domineering saint, clearly just an ordinary little girl waiting for her lover's praise. Xia Feng opened his mouth and didn't know what to say. After holding it for a while, he blurted out two words. Thank you. He's really a wooden head. Xia extended her snow-white jade hand and lightly tapped Xia Feng's forehead, but a sweet smile appeared on her face. However, I like it, she said. This ambiguous move, an undisguised confession, is astonishing. Xia affectionately and naturally held on to Xia Feng's arm, half of her body pressed against him, extremely soft and fragrant, making Xia Feng feel a bit dry in the mouth and tongue. She chuckled and said, Xianggong, you see so many guests are here, and uncles and aunts are also here. We can't let them go for nothing. Why don't we take advantage of today and have our engagement banquet? Chapter 6. Which, release me, my sage. You are listening at novelfull.audio. The guests on site all twitched at the corners of their mouths. Xia Feng also looked bewildered and said, This is a bit too fast, I don't know you yet. The softness emanating from his arms constantly stimulated his nerves, making his speech a bit awkward. Xia blinked her beautiful eyes and said with a smile, It's okay, let's get to know each other slowly in the future. Xia Feng swallowed his saliva and said, Well, your family is not here either. The engagement banquet requires both families to be present, Miss Yu. Call me, Madam. Xia stomped her feet and said coquettishly. Ah. Xia Feng's lips parted, but he couldn't say anything. After a moment of confusion, he tentatively said, why don't I call you Xia? Xia. That's okay, right? Xia pouted, looking somewhat disappointed. Her pitiful and delicate gaze really shattered people's hearts. Xia Feng turned his head and didn't dare to look into Xia's eyes. He said, Xia, why don't you first seek the opinions of your family? He didn't think that the heavenly fox saint would come all the way to get involved, there must be some purpose he didn't know. Although this heavenly fox saint was beautiful, powerful, and gentle towards him, he didn't dare to agree. Even if he wants to agree, the heavenly fox holy land cannot let his saint marry a useless person who is not even a warrior. Xia chuckled and held Xia Feng's cheeks in both hands, whispering, no need, we can cut it first and report later. Kill first and report later. Everyone couldn't believe their ears. Such words were actually spoken by the heavenly fox saint. Where else does this look like a top-notch saint? It looks like a licking dog no matter what. Liu Shiyu knelt on the side, lowered her head, and her face was extremely ugly. One of the top 10 top-notch saints in the hall, she actually pasted that trash upside down. Why? Why exactly is it? Could it be that he still has some hidden identity or ability that he hasn't let me know? Whenever the heavenly fox saint comes at a different time, Liu Shiyu will not feel too much. But the timing is too coincidental. She had just quit her marriage and mocked Xia Feng for being a waste. The next moment, the heavenly fox saint came to pay her respects, making her look like a blind, ignorant clown. She felt as if everyone around her was mocking her for being blind. She clenched her fist and let out a silent roar in her heart. Xia Feng looked at the stunning face just within reach, smelled the faint fragrance, and felt the scorching breath hitting his nostrils. His mouth suddenly became dry and his tongue became dry. Her gaze briefly lingered on her beautiful eyes, but it seemed to be deeply ingrained and unable to extricate itself. He quickly turned his gaze elsewhere, swallowed his saliva, moistened his throat, and said, so, Xia, can you let go of me first? Don't. If you promise to marry me, I will let you go. Xia not only didn't let go of him, but also got closer. Xia Feng tilted his body backwards, trying to maintain a distance as much as possible, and said with a dry smile, it's not good to have so many people watching. Who dares to look around randomly? Xia smiled and said. Upon hearing these words, the guests who were originally still watching the play immediately turned around and dared not take another look. Xia Feng tilted his head left and right, feeling a bit speechless. Are they all so timid? Xianggong, are you willing to marry me? Xia's voice was full of temptation, and her red lips almost touched Xia Feng's face. At this moment, snowflakes rose out of nowhere and drifted inside the restaurant. The temperature of the entire restaurant suddenly dropped by more than 10 degrees. Visit in advance, the drinks used to entertain guests will freeze in an instant. Everyone felt a piercing chill, unable to help but embrace and rub their arms, their teeth trembling. Okay, it's so cold. What's going on? Why is it so cold? After advancing to the martial arts level, the daily coldness and heat have no effect on them. Most of the people who can be invited by the Xia and Liu families to attend the wedding banquet are prominent figures in Xingyu City, most of whom are martial artists, even reaching the level of martial artists. They haven't felt the cold for many years, but today they feel like they're freezing to death. Strangely, the snowflakes covered the entire restaurant, but only avoided the Xia family and their group. The bone-chilling chill did not cause any harm to them. Surprisingly, it came so quickly. Xia sighed helplessly, with a hint of helplessness. Who? Xia Feng asked curiously. Xia reached out her snow-white jade hand and nodded on his forehead, then took his hand and angrily said, "You'll know later." Alas, if you had agreed to marry me earlier, the engagement banquet would have been over. Just as we were about to take our husband, we had a competitor on the way, and it wouldn't be so easy to take him down afterwards. Ah! Xia Feng grinned, unsure of what to say. Feeling the softness emanating from my arms, I suddenly felt a sense of unease. Tianhu Saint, we apologize and have been kneeling for so long. Can we leave? The elder of Yunshan sect spoke up and asked. He also felt the chilling chill through his bones. It was not easy to come here, and staying here always had a bad feeling. Kneel down. Yusia said coldly. She was regretting not winning Xia Feng as soon as possible, but she couldn't get angry with him to avoid damaging her image. The elder of Yunshan sect happened to hit the muzzle of the gun himself. Yes, yes. The elder of Yunshan sect dared not say a word of no, despite feeling humiliated and angry in his heart, he could only obediently follow suit. However, he did not sit idly by and secretly crushed a messenger jade slip at the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. He has transmitted everything that happened here back to the Yunshan sect through jade slips, hoping that the sect leader can find a way to take him away from the hands of the Heavenly Fox Saint. Heavenly Fox Saint, why is Xia Feng that useless person worth it for you? Just as he was delivering the message, Liu Shiyu finally couldn't control her emotions and stood up shouting. Kneel down. Yusia let out a cold snort, without using any enchanting technique. With terrifying pressure alone, she forced Liu Shiyu to kneel to the ground. Puff. A mouthful of fresh blood sprayed out on the spot. She finally calmed down and lowered her head, afraid to speak anymore. Light rain. Lu Tianxiang and his wife were as anxious as ants on a hot pot, but there was nothing they could do. Even their biggest support, the elder of Yunshan sect, is kneeling there. Fairy, let go of my husband. A cold voice rang out in the restaurant. Everyone held their arms, trembling and following the sound, only to see a girl wearing a blue short skirt and with blue hair slowly approaching. Her round face and big eyes were incredibly beautiful with a hint of cuteness, but her expressionless cheeks made everyone who saw her feel a chill in their hearts. It's so cold. This kind of coldness is different from the typical cold from outside to inside in ice and snow, but rather a cold that spreads out from inside out. The cold from outside to inside can be resisted by wearing thick clothes. But this cold from the inside out is of no use wearing even thick clothes. Looking at those snow-white long legs that were straight and round, every step taken in the high heels would leave an icy footprint. Xianggong. Everyone couldn't help but look at Xia Feng, another beautiful woman who came to flip the picture. Chapter 7. Are you Liu Shiyu? You are listening at novel full.audio. I really don't understand. What's so good about Xia Feng that he caused two top-notch beauties to compete for him? The guests couldn't help but glance at Liu Shiyu, who was kneeling on the ground. She was originally the darling of the Star Language City and joined the Yunshan sect, learning from the elder of the Yunshan sect. At the engagement banquet, she withdrew from Xia Feng, leaving the Xia family in a state of shame and unparalleled glory. But at this moment, he knelt on the ground in humiliation and dared not get up. Yusia gave the newcomer a faint glance. Not only did she not let go of Xia Feng's hand, but she hugged him even tighter. The blue-haired woman raised her eyebrows, and a hint of anger appeared in her eyes, which were emitting a faint blue light. The temperature inside the restaurant lowered several degrees again. Many guests have a slight frost on their hair and eyebrows. It's so cold. Except for the Xia family and Yusia, everyone was trembling. Even kneeling on the ground, the elder of Yunshan sect, who is already the 9th-level martial arts sect of the heavenly rank, couldn't help but shiver. What a powerful frost power, this woman is probably. The Grand Master of Yunshan sect vaguely guessed the identity of the woman, and those who were not afraid of the identity of the Heavenly Fox Holy Maiden were mostly at the level of top-notch Holy Maiden. There is only one holy land with such powerful frost power, and that is the ultimate holy land, the extreme ice holy land, and this woman is likely to be on par with the heavenly fox holy girl, the extreme ice holy girl. Thinking of this, his heart was filled with shock. That Xia Feng, at the age of 16, couldn't even give birth to his inner strength. Although he was just a waste, why did he attract two top-notch saints to compete? He can't figure it out, everyone can't figure it out. Xia, don't challenge my patience. The woman said coldly. Xia chuckled and said, don't say it like you can beat me. Do you want to give it a try? The woman said coldly, as the temperature around her cooled down again. Come on. Xia smiled calmly without any fear. Well, both of you, please speak up and don't hurt the harmony. Xia Feng spoke up at the right time, interrupting the two women who were facing each other. If my husband doesn't like fighting, then I won't fight anymore. Xia took Xia Feng's arm and said with a sweet smile. Xia Feng could only smile awkwardly and didn't know how to respond. Fairy, that's my husband. The woman's gaze turned cold, gritted her teeth, and she flashed onto the other side of Xia Feng, holding onto his other arm while glaring fiercely at Xia. Same soft yet different experience. Xia Feng's body stiffened and he dared not move. The eyes of all the guests were stunned. Whether it was Xia or the woman who later appeared, they were all top-notch beauties. Now, they are hugging Xia Feng one by one, and the impact on them is too great. Xiangong just agreed to marry me, you're late, Xia said seriously. Xia Feng was shocked. When did I promise to marry you? The woman said disapprovingly, how could my husband possibly agree to you? You think I'm so easy to deceive. Besides, even if my husband agrees, it's okay. I'll snatch it over. Everyone looked at the two women arguing incessantly, and their minds couldn't react. The scene of two women vying for a husband is not common, let alone one of them being the top-notch saint of the Xia Empire. Another identity that is not afraid of the heavenly fox saint and knows the heavenly fox saint is probably not easy. Just like this, two beautiful women with top-notch appearance, strength, and status are vying for jealousy over a Xia Feng who is not even a martial artist. This is simply too crazy. Who are you? Xia Feng is just a waste that I have discarded. What's good about him that makes you compete like this? Seeing Xia Feng, who had just been divorced by himself, he embraced and enjoyed the happiness of everyone. Moreover, each of these two women had a far superior appearance, strength, and status compared to herself, causing Liu Shiyu's heart to instantly become unbalanced. The humiliation, anger, and resentment kneeling on the ground erupted at this moment, causing her to stand up and scream hysterically, regardless of everything. The elder of Yunshan's sect looked up in shock and quickly knelt down several steps to the side. This bastard, I want to die and not implicate me. His mother heavenly level 9 martial arts clan kneels on the ground and dares not fart. You his mother, a little one of the heavenly level 1 martial arts clan, dare to be so presumptuous. Kneel down. Xia turned her head and glared angrily at Liu Shiyu. The terrifying aura forced Liu Shiyu to kneel down again with a thud. The woman who was fighting with Xia also turned her head to look at Liu Shiyu, raised her eyebrows slightly, and said in a cold tone, "Are you Liu Shiyu?" "I." Liu Shiyu struggled to lift his head. Before he could finish speaking, he saw the woman wave her hand and a force of frost spread from Liu Shiyu's feet, freezing her whole body in an instant. The terrifying power of frost brings piercing pain, but unfortunately, the body is frozen and unable to move, even unable to make a sound by opening its mouth. However, through the transparent power of frost, one can see Liu Shiyu's painful expression. Like rain. Mr. and Mrs. Liu Tianxiang rushed over regardless of everything and reached out to touch the frost, feeling a piercing chill constantly hitting their skin. Zhaoshuyuan.com. It can be imagined how much pain Liu Shiyu, who was frozen, has endured at this moment. Lu's mother turned her head to look at the woman and begged in tears, "This girl, even if you like Xia Feng, there's no need to treat my family Xiaoyu like this. This relationship emphasizes mutual affection. My family Xiaoyu doesn't like Xia Feng, why not withdraw? Divorce is not an option." The woman said indifferently, "But as far as I know, my husband and Uncle Xia personally came to your door and asked you to voluntarily withdraw your marriage, but you refused. It has only been a few days since you publicly withdrew from this engagement banquet. If you usually withdraw, it can only show that you have no eyes. But what you have done today is clearly deliberately humiliating my husband and Uncle Xia's family. How can I forgive you?" She knew all this information in that dream. When she came, she also inquired about it. Everything happened in reality was exactly the same as in the dream. As Xia Feng's future wife, she naturally wants to vent her anger for her husband. It seems true to hear her say so. I also heard that Xia Feng and his father went to the Lu family a few days ago to discuss the termination of their engagement, but they were rejected by Liu Shiyu and Liu Tianxiang. Today, they publicly withdrew from the engagement banquet in front of the influential people in the entire Star Language City. This is indeed an inappropriate move. The guests began to discuss in a low voice. Liu Tianxiang and his wife's face became extremely ugly. These words naturally had no response when spoken by Xia Feng, but when spoken by this woman, the effect was completely different. Even so, Xiaoyu couldn't bear to die. "Please raise your hand and let her go," Liu Tianxiang pleaded softly. "A person with eyes but no eyes, doesn't even have the qualification to die in my hands." The woman said calmly, "Just give her a small lesson, she won't die." Chapter 8. Extreme Ice Saint Lin Wanqing. You are listening at novel full.audio. Everyone's lips twitched slightly as they heard the words. These two top-notch beauties are really dominating each other. Ha! Who is this guy? The woman suddenly noticed a man kneeling next to Liu Shiyu, and couldn't help but be surprised. The elder of Yunshan sect quickly flattered and said, "Hello, I am the elder of Yunshan sect." "So you are the elder of Yunshan sect?" The woman suddenly realized. Upon hearing this tone, the elder of Yunshan sect thought that the other party had a good relationship with Yunshan sect. He was immediately overjoyed and nodded repeatedly, "I am the one. Do you also have your share in insulting my husband?" The woman changed her tone and said lightly. "Ah." The elder of Yunshan sect immediately froze. With a wave of her hand, a frost power spread from the soles of the elder of Yunshan sect. The energy in the body of the elder of Yunshan sect was stirred up, and in an instant, it bounced back several zhang and appeared in the corner of the restaurant. Kneeling on the ground means dignity is trampled upon. But frozen by the power of this frost, life and death are truly in the hands of others. He is at least the 9th level martial arts sect of the heavenly rank, not a useless person to be slaughtered, so he naturally does not want to be captured without restraint. How dare you resist? The woman's gaze suddenly turned cold, and she didn't see any movement. A force of frost quietly appeared behind the elder of Yunshan sect, instantly enveloping him and freezing him into an ice sculpture. Hush! Everyone on site took a deep breath. That's the heavenly ninefold martial arts sect, not an ordinary person, just frozen by waving his hand like this. The woman who appeared afterwards has no less strength than the heavenly fox saint. Upon seeing this, Liu Tianxiang and his wife turned pale in fear and retreated repeatedly, never daring to beg the woman to let Liu Shiyu go. Where did this woman come from? She looks about the same size as the heavenly fox saint, and her strength is also so terrifying. Xianggong, am I powerful? After finishing all of this, the woman turned her head to look at Xia Feng beside her and asked as if she had received credit, her delicate and pretty face carrying a strong sense of anticipation. The moment before, the invincible Tianjiao, who waved his hand and froze the elder of Yunshan sect, instantly transformed into a romantic girl looking forward to receiving praise from her beloved. The contrast between the front and back is too great, leaving everyone stunned. Amazing. Xia Feng nodded awkwardly. Cut. That's it, Yuxia said calmly, holding Xia Feng's hand and pouting. What's your concern? The woman looked at Yuxia disdainfully, tightly holding onto Xia Feng's other hand, and proudly said, as long as you think it's impressive, Xiangong. The soft touch came from both arms at the same time, and Xia Feng's eyes were a bit confused. This feeling is really fascinating. But he really doesn't know these two girls. Looking at Yuxia on the left and then at the woman on the right, he asked, that girl. Call me Madam. The woman angrily said. Xia Feng suddenly froze. How familiar this scene was. Stinky is shameless. Yuxia said with a disdainful expression, at least you are also a saint of the extremely cold Holy Land. Can you please order your face? Judging from her righteous and resolute demeanor, it seems that she has forgotten that she was also like this woman not long ago. The Holy Maiden of the Extreme Ice Holy Land. She is the legendary ultimate saint who possesses the Extreme Ice Holy Body. The Holy Land of Extreme Ice, which is on par with the Heavenly Fox Holy Land, is one of the top 10 top-notch holy sites in the Xia Empire. Sleeping Slot. Another top-notch saint. Oh my goodness, what did Xia Feng do? Why did he attract two top-notch saints to post upside down? The guests on site were all shocked. That's a top-notch saint, and there are only 10 in the entire Xia Empire. 2 of them came in one go. If this were to spread, it would be amazing. Are you also a saint? Xia Feng was also surprised. What happened today? Why did the 2 top-notch saints come all the way to call themselves husband? This is too unrealistic. That's right. The woman chuckled and said softly, Xiangong, let's officially get to know each other. My name is Lin Wanqing, the first saint of the Ice Holy Land, and I am also your future wife. Upon hearing these words, everyone's lips twitched and their hearts were filled with silence. Listening to this, it should be our first time meeting. She is a top-notch saint who chased after someone and called them Xiangong on the first meeting, even sticking her body upside down. If Xia Feng is a peerless arrogance, that's all, but he's just an ordinary person who can't even cultivate his internal strength. What is this for? Lin Wanqing, don't be so shameless, okay? Everything should be told first come first served, Yuxia said coldly with a raised eyebrow. When it comes to this kind of thing, it's all up to one's own means, Lin Wanqing said with a smile. Can you interrupt me for a moment, then? Xia Feng asked weakly. Xiangong, you say. Yuxia and Lin Wanqing spoke in unison, their voices incredibly sweet and gentle. Can you let go of me first? Xia Feng asked softly. Although both arms were deeply immersed in softness, which was very comfortable, it was also a torment to his pure soul. No way. The 2 women spoke in unison, hugging each other even tighter. That's all I said. Xia Feng chuckled twice and gave up his plan to break free. He went to Shuyuan www.zhaoshuyuan.com and let the 2 top-notch saints use their soft and crazy squeezing to squeeze his arms. Since we can't resist, let's enjoy it with peace of mind. In the rear, Xia's mother looked at the second daughter holding Xia Feng, pulled Xia's father, and whispered, Old man, these 2 girls are both good. Which one should we choose as our daughter.In.Law? It's so difficult to choose. Xia's father was speechless and glared at her, whispering, from a woman's perspective, your mind can only think of these things day by day. Do you think those are 2 ordinary girls? That's Yuxia, the Heavenly Fox Saint, and Lin Wanqing, the Extreme Ice Saint. Do you think that with such an identity and such a talented and top-notch saint, would you really be willing to stick to Xia Feng? Perhaps there are purposes we don't know about. Speaking of this, he furrowed his brow slightly, appearing somewhat worried. Speaking of my women's opinions, I see that you are just a muddled brain. What is there in our family worth plotting? Don't think people are so bad all day. I don't think these two girls look like bad people, but I think they're good anyway. They're 1,000 times better than that Liu Shiyu, Xia's mother said with a displeased expression. Xia's father rubbed his forehead, not knowing what to say. The two of them were not far from Xia Feng. Although their voices were lowered, Xia Feng could still hear them word for word. Looking at the smiley expressions of Xia and Lin Wanqing, I really wish I could find a crack in the ground to crawl in. It's too embarrassing. It seems that Auntie is very satisfied with my daughter.In.Law. Xia smiled and said. You're satisfied with me, can you stop being too sentimental? Lin Wanqing is not willing to be outdone. Just as the two were arguing endlessly, a deep voice rang out from the entrance of the restaurant. Yunshan, the head of the Yunshan sect, comes to pay his respects to the heavenly fox saint. Chapter 9. The master of Yunshan sect comes. You are listening at novel full.audio. Has the lord of Yunshan sect arrived? It should be the elder of Yunshan sect secretly sending a message to the lord of Yunshan sect for help. The elder of Yunshan sect is a 9th-level martial arts sect in the heavenly rank, and is an absolute core figure in the middle-level sect. Yunshan sect naturally does not want him to have any mistakes. I heard that the leader of Yunshan sect has long entered the realm of Wuzuan, and I don't know which one is stronger or weaker than the heavenly fox saint or the extreme ice saint. Guests scattered on both sides at the scene, watching the man slowly approaching from the entrance of the restaurant, whispering and discussing. Well, Xia, Miss Lin, I heard that the leader of Yunshan sect is a genuine Huangjia triple martial lord. Let's talk well, okay? Xia Feng reminded. Although Xia and Lin Wanqing are top-notch saints with noble identities, if they really provoke Yunshan, this matter may not be resolved. Huangjia, the triple martial lord, why be so afraid? Xia said with a smile. Lin Wanqing frowned and stomped her feet, angrily saying, Xianggong, do you call her Xia? Why do you call me Miss Lin? So what do I call you? Xia Feng was a bit speechless. It's not the point, okay? The point is that the lord of Yunshan sect has arrived, and there's a man accompanying him who looks even more powerful than the lord of Yunshan sect. We need to find a way to solve this matter. It would be best to call her Empress. Lin Wan smiled passionately, as if a stunning flower was in full bloom. You're shameless. Xia gave her a glare, knowing that her husband would definitely not agree. That's not good, is it? Xia Feng chuckled twice and said. Let's call it Xiao Qing, or even Qing Er. Lin Wanqing also knew that Xia Feng wouldn't agree and gave two affectionate names. Emotional child. This is too meaty. Xia Feng gave a dry laugh and tentatively asked, then I'll call you Xiao Qing. Being a martial artist and calling herself a top-notch saint, Xiao Qing always feels a bit uneasy. Lin Wanqing nodded repeatedly. No, Xianggong, I also want you to call me Xiaoya. Xia stopped working again, stomped her feet, and pouted. Okay, Xiaoya. Xia Feng's head surged. Xia's delicate pretty face showed a satisfied smile. Watching the performances of the two top-notch saints, the guests on site couldn't help but think two words in their hearts. Lick the dog. I have only seen men act as licking dogs for women before, and I have never seen women act as licking dogs for men before. Moreover, these two women are also one of the top 10 top-notch saints in the Xia Empire. When did this world become so crazy? Moreover, the lord of Yunshan sect has arrived. How could you at least give some reaction? This is too disrespectful of the lord of Yunshan sect, isn't it? Quickly, Yunshan arrived in front of the Xia family and their group. Yunshan was a burly figure with unusually thick arms. He turned his head to look at the frozen elder of Yunshan's sect in the corner of his eye, his gaze slightly cold, but he did not show any signs of discomfort. Turning around, he looked at two women holding a young man on one left and one right, clasping their fists and exclaiming loudly, "Yunshan, the head of the Yunshan sect, has come to pay respects to the Heavenly Fox Saint." He didn't know the Heavenly Fox Holy Maiden, but according to the description of the elder of Yunshan sect in the Jade Slip transmission, he could naturally guess that it was one of the two daughters holding the young man's arm. I know, I'm not deaf again, I can hear." Xia raised her eyebrows and said coldly. "Didn't you see me talking to my husband? I really have no vision." Yunshan did not react, but his attitude remained respectful. A ring appeared out of thin air in his hand, and he presented it with both hands, saying, "Our sect's elder has no intention of offending the Heavenly Fox Holy Maiden. This is the 10,000 medium-grade spirit stone I have prepared as an apology. I kindly ask the Heavenly Fox Holy Maiden to hold her hand high and spare him a way out." Hiss. 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones. I've never seen so many spirit stones in my life. 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones, how many martial artists need to be trained? The rise of the Xia family is unstoppable. I thought he was here to vent his anger on the elder of Yunshan sect, but I didn't expect him to apologize. This is not very normal. That's the first saint of the Heavenly Fox Holy Land. Can he still dare to take action? The guests on site took a deep breath and looked at the rings in Yunshan's hands, their eyes wide open. Apologize. The person you want to apologize for is not me, but my husband. Xia tightly embraced Xia Feng's arm and said coldly. Yunshan looked up at Xia Feng and couldn't understand why a small martial artist would attract the favor of a top-notch saint. However, he didn't say much and instead bowed to Xia Feng, saying, "Young master, these 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones will be used as compensation for our Yunshan sect. Please spare his life, young master Gao Tai." This. Xia Feng is a bit confused. The leader of Yunshan sect, a powerful warrior, is simply an unattainable figure for him. At this moment, he carefully bowed in front of himself and offered money to apologize. Is this the benefit of strength and powerful influence? For the first time, Xia Feng had a strong desire to become stronger. The eyes of Lu Tianxiang and his wife were filled with strong envy and jealousy. Xia Feng is a waste, why? Xia's mother's eyes lit up, which was a real benefit. She whispered a reminder from behind, "Xia Feng, that's enough." Her intention is to let Xia Feng stop as soon as he sees the situation better, and not hold back any longer. Xia's father frowned slightly, but these 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones are not so easy to obtain. The two top-notch saints cannot stay in the Xia family forever. When they leave, there will inevitably be greedy people who cannot resist the temptation. At that time, the Xia family may face a catastrophic situation by searching for the Shuyuan website www.zhaoshuyuan.com. Xianggong, please accept it. Xia smiled and said, "If you don't accept it, he will feel uneasy." Right, please accept it, young master, Yunshan quickly said. "So, should I accept it?" Xia Feng reached out his hand, hesitated for a moment, and finally accepted the ring. With these 10,000 high-quality spirit stones, the Xia family can usher in rapid development. The key is that if we don't accept it, it's not a good thing for everyone to remain deadlocked. What about mine? Lin Wanqing said coldly. Are you? Yunshan asked in confusion. In the elder's message, only the Heavenly Fox Saint was mentioned, and the identity of the woman in front of him was unknown. Xia smiled and said, "She is the first saint of the extreme ice holy land. By the way, your elder was also frozen by her." Extreme ice saint. Yunshan was startled in his heart and turned around to glare at the frozen elder. How could this bastard still provoke the ice saint? If I had known there was still an extremely cold saint, I would have divided the 10,000 medium-grade spirit stones into 2 parts. I have seen the ice saint in Yunshan. He turned around and saluted Lin Wanqing again. Then, gritting his teeth, he took out another ring and respectfully said, "There are 100,000 lower-grade spirit stones inside, so it's like apologizing to the ice saint. These spirit stones were only extracted by the Yunshan sect from a medium-grade spiritual vein, so they haven't been used yet." Lin Wanqing said lightly, "It's not for me to apologize, it's for my husband." Yunshan looked at Xia Feng again, his heart filled with shock. What exactly is the origin of this young man?